In this video, we're going to learn about a concept called structures. It's a really vast concept, so we're probably going to take at least 2 videos to cover everything. But essentially what a struct is it's a way that you can create your very own customized data type. So let's think of a struct this way. Think of it as something that describes a physical object. Let's say, for example, a car. So let's create a struct, and we'll call it car. So what we do now is we think of what describes a car. What can make a car be a car? Well, you could say the color of the car. We could say the size of the wheel. How about the number of doors? We could say the number of cylinders in the engine. And here are just a few of them. So color, the wheel size, number of doors, and engine cylinder number. We need to give each of these their own individual data types, just using regular data types. So if you want to specify a color, it's probably going to be a string. So let's go string. And for the wheel size, we could probably make this... Now let's just be careful. Let's just say double, because technically you could have a wheel size that's between 2 integers. And the number of doors would be an int. Oh, of course, forgot let right here. So number of doors would be an int. Usually it's 2 or 4 doors. And then engine cylinder is going to be an integer as well, because you can't really have half of a cylinder. And that's basically it. We have gone ahead and created our very own data type, and the data type is called car. So let's go ahead and create a version of car. So remember how in the past we've created instances of strings or decimals or whatever? So maybe we did let my string, something like that. Or we've also done it where we do my string equals an actual value, like this is a string. So what we're doing right here, we're going to do this, except instead of doing it for a string, we're going to do it for a car. So think of it this way. This can be kind of tricky to get your mind around sometimes, but the way that we're creating a variable called my string, that is a string data type, what we're going to do now is we're going to create a variable called my car, and we're going to make it be a car data type. So let's see how this is done. It's actually really easy. Just type in car with the parenthesis, click enter, and then it lets you fill in the 4 parts of the car. These are going to be considered your properties. So this data type car has 4 properties down here. And so let's go ahead and fill the properties out. Let's say silver. And I actually don't know what a regular wheel size would be, so let's see, 1 foot, let's say 15 inches. I have no idea if that's normal or not. 4-door, in fact, let's say it's a 5-door, because the 5th door will be the hatchback, because I really like hatchbacks. And 4 cylinders, I think that should be sufficient. So there we go. We've created a basic struct right here. We've created our very own data type, and we've gone ahead and created an instance of that data type, which is my car. So we can go ahead and reference my car down here, and it'll show all the different properties of the car. Let's do that. Silver, 15, 5, and 4. Now if you want to access a specific property, then what you have to do is access the property by clicking the or pressing doing a period, and then specifying the property type or the property name. So let's say you want to determine how many doors the car has. We can do num doors. So the variable name followed by a period followed by the name of the property, which is num doors. And this should look familiar to you from our earlier videos, where we would, like, for example, we'd have a string, and then we'd use the count property to determine the number of characters in that string. We're doing the exact same thing here. We're using a property called numDoors to determine the numDoors property of our variable, of our instance of the type. And we can actually print this out to the console. So we could say this car has, and then like so, doors. Let's see if this works properly. Yep, this car has 5 doors. Ta-da. So that's how you can access the property of your struct, or the property of your type. You can also make modifications to properties, but only if you have this as a var. Remember, let refers to a constant, so once you create your car instance right here, any of these let constants, you won't be able to modify them, so you won't be able to change the wheel size, doors, engine cylinders, color, etc., etc. Now think of this from a practical standpoint. If you own a car, you won't really be able to change the wheel size. Technically, I guess you can change the wheel size, but it'll really hurt the performance of your car, so you don't want to change the wheel size if you can help it. You can't change the number of doors either, because you can't just go from a 4-door to a 2-door. And as far as I know, you can't really change the number of cylinders in your engine. Maybe you can buy a new engine that has 6 cylinders, but I wouldn't recommend it, because I don't think it would fit properly in the engine mounts. And I don't know, I'm not a car technician, but I personally wouldn't change the cylinders in my car. But you can change the paint color, or the body color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to be var. So let's really quickly see what happens if we change our color from silver to gray. So my car dot color equals gray. And of course, I almost forgot, you need to change this to a var as well. And now it will work. And there we go. So we've updated the color property to be gray. And let's go ahead and see the result. So my car, and there we go. Color has been updated to be gray. And if you refer to the my car property, or the my car instance, before changing it to gray, then you'll see it still shows up as being silver. So it starts at silver, you change it to gray, and now it shows as being gray. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a completely different example, because I want to illustrate how to create something called a calculated property. And I think it's a little bit easier to demonstrate this on a different example that isn't the car struct. So what we'll do instead is we'll create a struct called pizza. And we'll create a bunch of properties again. Let's say num cheeses. And that'll be the number of different cheeses we have on a pizza. Let's also say, let's go with radius. So the radius of a pizza is basically the distance in inches from the center of the pizza to the edge of the crust. So radius times 2 would be the entire width of the pizza from left to right. And that's going to be, I'll just call it an int, because I've never really seen a pizza that has like half. No, let's make it a double. Yeah, may as well. Alright, so some pizza restaurants have different types of crust you can get, like regular crust versus thin crust versus garlic crust. So I'll just do another one that says crust type, and that'll be definitely a string data type. And maybe we can do another one, sauce type, and that'll also be string. So we're going to go ahead and again create an instance of this struct. So we'll do, I don't think, yeah, let's go with var. And we'll say it's my pizza, and it's going to equal pizza. And we can determine our properties, again, just like with the car example. But what we're going to do here is we're going to create a calculated property, and we're going to determine the size of the pizza, like the total area of the pizza. And the size of the pizza, basically the area of any kind of circle, would be radius times itself multiplied by pi. pi being 3.14. So we're going to go with a var area, so the surface area of the pizza, and this is going to be a double data type. And to create a calculated variable. So what this means is that when we create our instance right here, let's go ahead and actually fill this out really quickly. I'll say a 5 cheese pizza because I love cheese. Radius is, let's go with 8 inches, and crust type is going to be thin. And then sauce, oh, I misspelled that. Look at that, I didn't even notice. Sauce type is going to be, I actually like the Alfredo sauce a lot, so I'm going to do Alfredo. So what happens here is to create our calculated data type. Notice there's like an error message right here. This is basically complaining that we are not including this area variable in our initial declaration. We don't need to fix that right now because once this becomes a calculated property, this error message will go away. But a calculated property will basically take any of these any of these 4 values, any existing normal non-calculated property, it'll take some value and then calculate a new value and then populate that new value into this particular variable. So to create a calculated property, what you do is inside brackets, just perform the overall calculation of what you have to do. So we're going to do radius times radius, and we could do times 3.14 if you like, but a better way to do this is to use double dot pi, and you can get the precise pi version from that. And we can, I'm going to go ahead and just return this straight up, and this should get rid of all the errors like so. What you can also do if you want is instead of just returning that, you can create a variable and let's say area calculated equals that, and then return area calculated. You can do that as well. This might make a little bit more sense to you, but ultimately that's not really required. All you have to do is straight up return this. So what happens is this radius right here and this radius right here, they both refer to that radius value, which refers back to this original value right here we put in. So we create our instance, which is called an object. We create our instance, we input all of these values into our struct or our object, and this particular one, radius value of 8, gets assigned to this value, which in turn gets pulled into these 2 values, and then we calculate using our radius values, like so, to calculate the area of the pizza or the size of the pizza. That size or area gets returned, and it gets returned back to the area variable right here. And so now we have created our instance of pizza. We have 4 properties and then a 5th property that gets calculated from this right here. So if we want to access our calculated property, we can do this. We can go my pizza dot and it's area, and we'll go ahead and print this for easy viewing. So print the size of the pizza is that's, and we can see the result right down here. And if you want to update the radius, let's say change it to an 18-inch pizza which has a radius of 9, it automatically updates the calculated property down here. So that's basically it. This video just all about properties of structs. In the next video we're going to learn all about struct methods and how to pass a struct into a function. So until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.